So I have literally just finished voicing over the last set of nails my client had on, which is when I realised that I should have done that video a bit sooner because 2 weeks is already gone. So she's come back in and I have removed her previous set by clipping down the length and then using my efile to remove the nails on the nail bed down to a very thin, clear base. I very rarely soak off with acetone. I just file down to a thin base and then resculpt. And this time I'm going to be using, I've got Hazel Dixon Nails forms on. Now these are the extreme length forms. I cut these down. These babies are huge. Yeah, so there was about like another, oh god, we did joke about doing them the full length, but so that was at line 7, and I think it goes up to like 10 or 12 or something like that. You could get some huge nails out of these forms. So yes, I've applied those forms, pinched into like the stiletto shape, and then I've cut down the rest because I don't like working with loads of extra paper, so if I don't need it I get rid of it, and then all the nails will hopefully be the same length. I've applied that thin clear base, and then I'm coming in with this amazingly bright pink. This is from the HD Pro Sisters of Summer collection, and this is called Elisha, and she is a sexy bitch. Check her out. It is the brightest bubblegum pink I've ever used. It's beautiful. And what I really like, again, I know I'm going to get all gushy again, what I'm really liking about the HD system is, can you see how even when I'm just painting that on, and you can see the massive pigment still in my brush when I wipe it off, I'm painting it on super thin, but have you noticed it's not running down the form, it is staying exactly where I put it. And I cannot say enough how much I love that about this acrylic. It just, you put it somewhere and it just stays there. So well trained. And then I'm just using my wet brush and just dabbing into that wet acrylic some of the VIP Mix 2 from the May Glitters. Just patting that in. That's one thing I would say about this acrylic. It sets, because I'm using the optimal monomer, it sets fast. Like, as you can see, the body of that nail is setting and drying quite fast. So if you're a slightly slower worker, I'd recommend you getting the Idea. I've just ordered the other primers because I just started with the optimal because it was like, that's the fastest setting one. I was like, yep, that'll do. So I've ordered those 2 other monomers as well. There's the Idea, which I think is a slightly slower set, but when I say that, I think it's a difference. Like, this one is a 3-minute, the other one's a 5-minute set. And then there's an Artiste monomer, which is designed to be used with 3D. And I like the idea of that because you actually save money, because they don't have to put all of the it doesn't need the properties of like the adhesion and stuff that you would have from these monomers, because it doesn't need to stick to the nail bed. It just needs to stick to other acrylic. So it's ever so slightly cheaper, and it'll be a faster set as well, so you don't have to wait around so long while working with your 3D. And while I've been rambling on, I've capped that nail in crystal clear. And again, it's really nice. I can work with tiny beads, just filling in any gaps I like. Making sure, when I do stilettos, I always make sure that there's a little extra product on the end, because it is so friggin' easy to snap at the end of a stiletto off while filing it. So as you can see, I always put a little extra in like the final third of the nail, so I've got a little bit to play with there. Moving on to the next nail. Again, doing that thin, clear base. Then coming in with an ombre powder, and this is natural. So this is, as the name suggests, a natural white. Don't know if it shows up in there. It had an ever so slightly, when I applied, bluish tinge to it. It doesn't show on the actual nail, but it has like this really crisp, bright white blue tint to it. I'm just blending it up the nail. Now, this is something I have to point out. If you're using a dark form, like a black form, don't worry if you can see... I'm sorry, I had to pause speaking there. Mr. Glitterfairy was being stupid in the background. Right, so don't worry if you can see a bit of that black form through that white. It's the same as if you were doing a redesign and you were trying to cover up a black base with a white gel polish. You're going to be able to see through it, but remember that the form isn't going to stay there. So I'm not that concerned about having a really thick, solid colour, especially when working with like a natural white. I just wanted to work on my ombre and not worry about being able to see a bit of that black through, because when I take that form away you won't be able to see it. And then I'm using the other ombre powder, which is Dusky Rose. Just blending that down. So just making sure I get that nice finish, that nice blend. And as you see straight away, as soon as I put that rose over, it's kind of blended into it anyway. So again, with ombre, the important thing is to work in thin layers, building that blend rather than worrying about getting a nice solid white, putting a way too big layer on, and then you'll struggle to get a nice blend with the pink. So I'm then going to cap that nail in Crystal Clear. And then the next nail, I've already applied my thin clear base, and in the time it took me to get my glitter out, as you can see it's gone a bit matte and it's setting. So this is, I'm using the faster set monomer, which I love, and I'm using here Indian Summer Superfine in Lotus as a base. So I'm just using small beads of clear acrylic to pick up that glitter and create a solid base over that nail. And then I'm just going to use my wet brush just to dab into the VIP mix too, and then just dab that into the wet layer of acrylic. Now this is quite a chunky, various shaped glitter, and I'm not that worried about it all being perfect. I'm just kind of chucking it on, and then I'm going to flatten it with the body of my brush and then cap the entire nail in Crystal Clear. Onto that next now. Coming in with some of that bright pink Elisha again. Just going to create a nice base using that colour. I've already got my thin clear base down there. I'm using a small bead of the clear acrylic, dabbing it into that Indian Summer Superfine in Lotus, placing that near the cuticle area and just getting a gentle blend down with that. Then just patting a bit more of that chunky mix in. Not wanting loads, just a little bit. And then I'll cap that entire nail in crystal glass. Oh, crystal clear even! Oh, it takes a while to learn new brand names, doesn't it? And when all of those nails are finished and filed in, I'm just going to use some of the light chrome crystals from the metallic crystal wheel. And I'm just going to do one of my little crystal tiaras across the ombre there. And then top coating in my usual way, so butting up against those crystals, not over them, and then top coating all the other nails. And as you can see, when I top coat these, you can see that ombre. Can't see through it. It was just the fact there was a black form underneath that made it look uneven. And then I'm going to pop these in the lamp and then cure that for 60 seconds. And when they're all finished and all cooled down, I'm going to pop on a bit of the Hazel Dixon cherry cuticle oil. Oh, you should smell this. It's amazing. It's like cherry drops. It's absolutely gorgeous. Okay, and that's all done then. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. I am in love with these nails. Yeah, so if you have any questions or comments or requests or anything, just pop it all below. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.